The blockbuster trade that would have sent Maxx Crosby to the Baltimore Ravens is officially off. Matthew, first thoughts on this?
I mean, the Ravens pullout game is strong. They got out of there. I don't think we have ever seen a deal this big get canceled off a physical. I mean, it's just so bizarre to me. And like we said before the show, I am a conspiracy theorist. Definitely think there's more going on. But yeah, this is just insane. I guess it all works out well for the Ravens. They get Hendrickson and keep their first round picks. But God, if you're the Raiders, uh, it's a stain on your offseason, which has been going pretty well so far, I'd say.
Yeah, it definitely throws a wrench into things. We'll see exactly how they're able to maneuver the cap. They were obviously acting like uh, Maxx Crosby was not going to be a part of the team this upcoming year, and he might still not be. They might still end up moving on from him. We'll see what his trade value is after this whole ordeal. I think it's interesting how quickly the Ravens moved on from this. Obviously, it's a 24/7 business, especially in free agency, but they went and got Trey Hendrickson, as you mentioned, pretty quickly after that news dropped. And
Yeah.
I don't know if Maxx Crosby truly does have something wrong with his knee or if there's any sort of slower timeline that he is on that the Ravens weren't expecting. But what I will say is that that they're claiming that he's a-okay with his timetable and his return. So I will say I do. It does seem like it's a little fishy, but at the end of the day, this does happen to
Yeah.
this degree. Not so much though.
No, it's fair. And like we said, Hendrickson, I think he's going to do great with the Ravens. I guess, like, overall, who would you rather have, Crosby or Hendrick? You probably want Crosby, but uh, I'm not upset about losing two first round picks. But yeah, you mentioned it. I mean, is there going to be any trade value there, or is the trade value going to fall? If
I
I'm
think
the
it's
Raiders,
got to. I think it's got to. I mean, they got
yeah,
two first round picks, one this year, one next year. Like you'd
yeah.
imagine that they can't get that level of value again.
Not after the physical, not after, I mean, how this whole situation has, you know, uh, developed and stuff. Because you got to think too personally, like Maxx Crosby. I mean, obviously he wants to be a Raider for life, all that stuff, but he's got to be a little, upset now that he has to go back into the, team's facilities. So they're definitely going. I feel like they're definitely going to try to find a way to move on from him, and I think teams are going to try to take advantage of that now and try to get
Yeah.
him for a bit of a discount.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier that obviously the Raiders were making a lot of signings and they didn't know that Maxx Crosby would be a part of their team. I just don't see a world where he makes it past this free agency and the summer period because they did go out and get Tyler Linderbaum. And I know that his draft stock is now lower, but I think a lot more teams will potentially be interested in that market than maybe whoever it was bidding against the Ravens. What I will say, though, too, to add to it is that like this has been so drawn out that I do think there is some positive or plus to this side of things where it's like they're still going to get rid of him. Like they're
Yeah.
still going to get some stuff back, some value back, and then they can just call it like that and be done with it. I just don't see there being a situation where they draw this out any further or like let it go all the way to the draft.
I mean, I agree. I think the sooner the better. Because, like you said, I mean, those deals in place, everything is gonna get all, thrown upside down and stuff. I just like I said, I don't think I have ever seen. This just has such major implications. I feel like, for the Raiders offseason, who they went out and got Linderbaum. They went out, they start developing these, like, an idea of how they're going to spend these picks and stuff. You got to change game plans within like 24 hours. It's crazy. It genuinely is crazy.
And you know what? It's interesting because they can pivot because they still have cap space and they can
Yeah.
still figure out exactly what kind of cap relief they could potentially get from all of this or what have you. I want to just mention again for the Ravens here. If they ended up getting Trey Hendrickson, as we've said. They had 30 sacks last year. They had no edge rush. So for
Yeah.
them to say no on this physical and turn around and go get Trey Hendrickson, I think that was a ballsy move to actually be able to do that. I'm sure they had Hendrickson in the fold. They had already been talking to him. They had their concerns about the physical. Everything's pending physical in this day and age. But for them to move that quickly, I thought that was an interesting piece. And with how much that position meant to them, that
Yeah.
position was the highest of priority for them this offseason. And everybody. I don't know how many people or if there was anybody that really brought up Maxx Crosby's injury timeline. Like obviously he's coming off of an injury, but I don't know if there was anybody who was genuinely concerned before this physical. And they were at the very least looking out for that and saying pending physical, and they moved quickly to figure out one of their biggest weaknesses.
Yeah, I mean, with an injury like that, talent like that, I don't see it being that big of a concern. There must have been something really wrong that happened in that physical for them.
Yeah, there had to have been. I'm guessing like the, obviously him and his agent are saying that they're on the regular timeline, and
Mhm.
if anything, they're moving faster than what they had initially expected. Like it's weird because it's like I know that I want to take what the player and the agent say, and I understand that it's in free agency, but I want to think that that's true because it's still with the modern medicine and everything that we have, it is still a little bit more jarring. I feel when you see a player is behind with an
Yeah,
injury, like so. Unless it's like an Achilles or something, like you don't really see a player like push their timetable that far. And Achilles injuries are now people are getting back on the court, out on the field a lot quicker. But I just don't think the Ravens back out of this unless there's something truly wrong. Like I know that they had Trey Hendrickson apparently in the fold, and they were probably wanting to see if they could get him for cheaper, and they certainly did make that work. But
yeah.
I don't think that they would knowingly back out without them looking at his knee and being like, oh, like he's not even going to get any training camp snaps or anything like that. Like it's just not going to work.